It's all so shady, you guys. If the court finds that that her team participated in a scheme to obtain stolen communication, then both her harassment claims and her smear campaign claims could totally collapse. Everything is then built on illegal material and is not admissible in court.
Blake Lively's entire legal case might be on the verge of collapse. Why? Because the judge just made a move that could flip the courtroom and the media narrative completely upside down. Behind the scenes, there's now talk of illegally obtained evidence, a media smear campaign, and a Hollywood power couple using their fame as a shield. And while Blake prepares for a brutal deposition, Ryan Reynolds is allegedly pulling strings like he's directing a billion-dollar movie. This isn't just a legal battle. It's a power play that could change everything. For months, the internet's been buzzing about what's real and what's spin in the Lively versus Baldoni legal war. But on paper, something very real just happened.
This, as I've talked about so many times before, is major. And now finally, the judge has come to the conclusion that it really is. So now we got to finally uncover the truth with hard evidence. I can't wait to see what was in that communication. Oh my God, Stephanie Jones must be sweating right now.
A judge has officially approved Jennifer Abel's request to review all communications between Vanzin and Stephanie Jones, two people suspected of playing key roles in how information was passed around during this high-profile case. Why is this important? Because Blake Lively's team is now being accused of receiving information from Stephanie's phone before any subpoena was issued. If true, that would mean they accessed private materials illegally before the courts even got involved. And here's where it gets explosive. If this scheme is proven, Blake's entire harassment case and her claim of being the victim of a smear campaign could fall apart. Why? Because it would mean her legal strategy was built on evidence that should never have existed in court in the first place. It's the kind of twist that could send shockwaves across Hollywood, and we're only just getting started. We finally have a date. July 17. That's when Blake Lively is scheduled to sit down and answer questions under oath.
Is that there is a date for Blake Lively's deposition. It's set to be on July 17th. People magazine did a story on it saying Blake Lively's deposition date revealed as Justin Baldoni's lawyers prepare to grill actress on her claims. Yeah, I would, as I said before, I would really pay a lot to be a fly on the wall during that deposition.
No more statements from reps. No more filtered posts. This time, she'll be directly cross-examined by Baldoni's legal team. This comes after her previously expected subpoena in June mysteriously didn't happen. No official explanation, just radio silence. But now, with only days left before she's due in that room, the tension is building. Will she show? Or will another delay buy her more time? Because the courtroom isn't just waiting for her answers, the world is. You've probably heard the number by now. Blake Lively's legal team requested access to 50,000 hours of behind-the-scenes footage from It Ends With Us. 50,000 hours. That's the equivalent of non-stop filming for 5 years. And everyone knows that kind of footage doesn't even exist. So what's really going on here? Critics and even some legal analysts have started asking, if Blake knows when and where she felt uncomfortable on set, why isn't she requesting those specific moments? Why ask for everything? There's only one theory that seems to stick. Her team may be attempting a cherry-picking strategy, scanning endless footage, not for actual misconduct, but for clips that could look bad out of context. One key example, the now debunked story of the hospital scene, where Blake allegedly felt exposed during filming, claims that someone was looking up her thingy, which later turned out to be completely false.
Why wouldn't she ask specifically for the scene? She was in that hospital bed giving that birthing scene, you know, the one that she accused him of having his friend look up her thingy and she wasn't wearing any clothes, which turned out to be not true. That scene, for example, why isn't she asking specifically for those scenes that she's been accusing him of harassing her? Instead, she's asking for 50,000 hours?
So is this 50,000-hour request about finding truth? Or creating a narrative? Candace Owens, Perez Hilton, Andy Signore from Popcorn Planet. All three received subpoenas from Lively's team, but one name conspicuously missing, Sasha Floyer, despite being repeatedly named in court filings and media articles as a so-called anti-Blake content creator. So why was she left out?
Why they subpoenaed Candace Owens, Perez Hilton, and Andy over at Popcorn Planet, and not me? Why didn't they subpoena me? I'm the person that they started accusing of a smear campaign. I've been mentioned in all court documents. Why did they choose not to subpoena me? And I think I found out the reason why. And that is because they know, her lawyers know, that I had nothing to do with it. And if they subpoena me, and if it becomes public that they haven't found any signs of me working with Baldoni's team, it makes them look bad. And they know they're not going to find anything. And that's why they didn't subpoena me.
The most likely explanation. Blake's team knows they'd find nothing. If Sasha were subpoenaed and nothing turned up, it would prove she wasn't working with Baldoni's camp, and that would undermine the smear campaign narrative they're trying to build. Instead, they chose a different tactic. Drag her through the media with op-eds, headlines, and name drops, but never go to court where she could defend herself. It's the kind of strategy that raises more questions than it answers. And now, things get cinematic. An insider told a reporter this week that it wasn't Blake who decided to subpoena controversial media figures like Owens and Hilton, it was Ryan Reynolds. According to that source, Ryan is treating this entire scandal like a movie. He has a storyboard. He's mapping out a PR campaign like a blockbuster script. And in his mind, this isn't just about clearing Blake's name, it's about regaining control of the narrative. In fact, one insider said that Ryan told Blake, "Stop defending yourself and start fighting back." That's why the strategy has shifted from defense to offense. There's even speculation that Ryan tried to make Baldoni take the blame for the film's poor promotion, sending a letter demanding he sign off on a statement saying it was all his fault. Why? Because Ryan's company, Maximum Effort, was responsible for marketing It Ends With Us. And with a major promotional deal in place with Paramount, he couldn't afford to take the fall. But here's the irony. Everything Ryan has done to save the narrative might be doing the opposite. The New York Times recently published an op-ed defending Blake and accusing Justin Baldoni's team of weaponizing the media. But just months before that, the same publication ran 2 major articles that did exactly what Blake's team claimed Baldoni was doing. One article slammed the film's press tour, describing how the behind-the-scenes drama with Blake overshadowed the movie. Another painted her in a negative light for allegedly taking over creative decisions, promoting her businesses, and steamrolling the film's screenwriter. In other words, the New York Times participated in the same media strategy they later accused Baldoni of orchestrating. They even embedded Sasha's viral interview in their coverage, another move that Blake's team labeled as part of the smear campaign. So was it a smear when Sasha did it but journalism when the Times did the same thing? The hypocrisy is glaring, and the internet isn't letting it slide. Now here's a move that could blow up in Blake's face. The judge recently ruled that she can access the client list of Jed Wallace, a crisis manager hired by Baldoni's team. She believes he's been working behind the scenes to manipulate public opinion online. The idea? If she can prove he's worked similar smear strategies in the past for other clients, it'll show a pattern of behavior. But here's the risk. If Wallace is forced to hand over confidential client info, it could expose major celebrities, people who may have nothing to do with this case, people who don't want their private PR dealings aired out in court. And guess what? Those celebrities won't be mad at Baldoni. They'll be mad at Blake. She might win a legal point, but lose allies in the process. Meanwhile, the filings keep coming. Leslie Sloan, one of Blake's allies, is asking the court to cover her legal fees. Baldoni's team is pushing back hard, citing jurisdictional issues and claiming she doesn't qualify under anti-SLAPP protections. It's a messy, technical battle, but one that could set a precedent for future cases tied to celebrity media manipulation. And in the background, Baldoni has just 1 day left to file an appeal. So far, he's remained relatively quiet, but the deadline is now. Will he fight back, or has the storm already passed? One thing is clear. This case is no longer just about Blake and Justin. It's about who controls the narrative in a world where headlines move faster than court dates, and where a celebrity's image can be shaped by a well-placed tweet, a YouTube video, or an op-ed in the New York Times. If the allegations of illegally obtained evidence hold up, Blake's legal case could fall apart completely. And if Ryan Reynolds really is treating this like a movie, it may be one that ends in a PR disaster instead of a Hollywood ending. The trial is set for March 2026. But if this past week is any indication, the real drama is already here.